Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon and watched the alien planet grow larger on the screen. His heart beat fast in his chest. After 3 years traveling through space, they had finally found intelligent life. The planet below was beautiful. Its oceans were purple instead of blue, and its continents glowed with silver cities. The aliens who lived there called themselves Valorians, and they had sent a message welcoming the humans to their world. "Captain, we're ready to land," said his second officer, a young woman named Amy Brooks. Jake nodded. "Take us down." The ship entered the atmosphere smoothly. Jake looked around at his crew. There were only 30 people on the horizon, but they were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and diplomats. They had traveled farther from Earth than any humans before them. The landing pad was huge and made of some kind of white stone that seemed to glow from within. Hundreds of aliens waited to greet them. Jake took a deep breath and headed to the airlock with his team. The moment he stepped outside, Jake saw his first Valorian up close. They were tall and thin, with skin that looked like it was made of crystal. Light moved under their skin in different colors. The alien in front of him had skin that shifted between blue and green. "Welcome, humans," the alien said. The words came from a small device on his chest. "I am Sovereign Theron, ruler of the Valorian Empire. We are honored by your visit." Jake bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We come in peace and friendship." King Theron led them into the palace. It was the most beautiful building Jake had ever seen. The walls were transparent and showed the gardens outside. Flowers that didn't exist on Earth filled the air with sweet smells. Water fountains made music as they flowed. They walked through long hallways until they reached a great hall. The king sat on a throne that looked like it was carved from a single giant diamond. His advisors stood around him, their crystalline skin glowing with different colors. "Captain Morrison," the king began, "we have watched your species for some time. We know you are young and new to space travel, but we see potential in humanity. We wish to trade knowledge and build friendship between our peoples." Jake smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for. "We would be honored, Your Majesty." But then the king's skin changed color. The blue and green faded to gray. Jake had learned that gray meant sadness among Valorians. "However," the king continued, "I must share something with you. My heart is heavy with sorrow. My daughter Princess Liara is dying." The other Valorians in the room all turned gray at these words. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "I'm so sorry," Jake said. "What's wrong with her?" "We do not know," King Theron replied. His voice was filled with pain. 3 months ago she became ill. She cannot eat our food anymore. Everything she tries to consume makes her sick. Our best doctors cannot help her. She grows weaker every day. Soon she will die, Jake thought quickly. "Your Majesty, we have a doctor with us, Dr. Lisa Carter. She's one of Earth's finest medical experts. Perhaps she could examine the princess." The king's skin flickered with a tiny bit of yellow, which Jake had learned meant hope. "You would do this? Even though we have just met?" "Of course," Jake said. "Where we come from, when someone needs help, you help them. That's what makes us human." An hour later, Dr. Lisa Carter was examining Princess Liara in the Royal Medical Wing. Jake waited outside with the king. Through the transparent walls, he could see the princess lying on a bed. Even from a distance, he could tell she was incredibly weak. Princess Liara was young, probably in her early 20s if converted to human years. Her crystalline skin, which should have been bright and colorful, was dull and almost transparent. Jake could see her bones through her skin. She looked like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Dr. Carter came out after an hour, looking thoughtful. "Your Majesty, may I speak frankly?" "Please do," the king said. "The princess's condition is unlike anything in our medical databases," Lisa explained. "But I did find something interesting. Her digestive system has changed somehow. It's rejecting all Valorian nutrients. Her body chemistry has shifted. Can you help her?" the king asked desperately. "I need to run more tests," Lisa said. "But I have an idea. It's unusual, but it might work." That evening, Jake was given permission to walk through the palace gardens. He needed time to think. The fate of 2 civilizations might depend on what happened here. If they couldn't help the princess, the king might lose faith in humanity. He was standing near a fountain when he heard a soft voice behind him. "You're the human captain." Jake turned and saw Princess Liara. She was walking slowly, leaning on a cane. Her attendants followed at a distance. Up close, she was even more frail than he'd thought. But there was strength in her eyes. "Your Highness," Jake said, bowing. "You shouldn't be out of bed." "I wanted to see the human who promised to help me," she said. A tiny smile crossed her face. "You should know that I've heard such promises before. None of them worked." "We'll find a way," Jake said with confidence he didn't completely feel. Liara sat down on a bench near the fountain. Jake sat beside her, careful to keep a respectful distance. "What is Earth like?" she asked. Jake described his home planet. He told her about blue oceans and green forests. He talked about mountains and deserts, cities and farms. He described snow and rain, things that didn't exist on Valoria Prime. "It sounds beautiful," Liara said. Her skin flickered with a pale yellow color. "I wish I could see it." "You will," Jake promised. "We're going to help you get better, and then you can visit Earth yourself." Liara looked at him for a long moment. "Why do you care so much?" "You don't even know me." Jake thought about his answer. "Because that's what humans do. We see someone suffering and we want to help. It doesn't matter if they're from Earth or from across the galaxy. Life is precious everywhere." For the first time, Liara's skin brightened just a little. A small amount of color returned to her crystalline face. "Thank you, Captain Morrison," she said quietly. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the dying princess and her father's desperate hope. Dr. Carter was running tests, but what if they failed? What if there was nothing they could do? He got up and went to the ship's kitchen. Kyle Henderson, the crew's chef and nutritionist, was there making late-night coffee. "Can't sleep either?" Kyle asked. "Thinking about the princess?" Jake admitted. Kyle nodded. "Lisa told me about her condition. It's strange. The princess's body is rejecting Valorian food completely. Is there anything we can do?" Jake asked. Kyle was quiet for a moment, then his eyes lit up. "Actually, I might have an idea. It's crazy, but it might just work." "What is it?" "What if we tried feeding her human food?" Kyle said. "If her body is rejecting Valorian nutrients, maybe it would accept Earth-based organic compounds instead." Jake stared at him. It was insane, but sometimes the craziest ideas were the ones that worked. "Talk to Dr. Carter first thing in the morning," Jake ordered. "If she thinks it's safe, we're going to try it." As Jake went back to his quarters, he felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could save Princess Liara's life, and maybe humanity's first act in this new galaxy would be one of kindness and compassion. Tomorrow, everything would change. The morning sun rose over Valoria Prime, painting the purple sky with streaks of gold. Jake Morrison walked quickly through the palace halls toward the medical wing. Dr. Lisa Carter had agreed to meet him there at dawn. He found Lisa in her temporary laboratory, examining data on a screen. She looked tired but excited. "I ran the analysis Kyle suggested," Lisa said without greeting. "Captain, I think he might be right. Princess Liara's altered biology shows markers that are actually similar to human digestive chemistry. It's like her body is trying to become compatible with Earth-based organic materials." "Is it safe to try?" Jake asked. Lisa nodded slowly. "I believe so. Her system is currently rejecting everything anyway. At worst, human food won't work either. At best, it could save her life." "Then let's do it," Jake decided. An hour later, Jake stood before King Theron in the throne room. The king's skin was a dull gray, the color of deep sadness. He had not slept, spending the whole night at his daughter's bedside. "Your Majesty," Jake began, "we have a proposal. It's unconventional, but we believe it could help the princess." "I will try anything," the king said desperately. "What do you suggest?" "We want to give Princess Liara human food," Jake explained. "Our doctor believes her changed biology might be compatible with nutrients from Earth." The throne room fell silent. The Valorian advisors looked at each other in confusion. One of them, a stern-looking official with dark blue skin, spoke up. "This is madness," he said. "Feed our princess alien food? It's an insult to our people." "High Chancellor Voren," the king said firmly, "my daughter is dying. I will not let pride stand in the way of her survival." Voren's skin flashed red with anger, but he said nothing more. "Captain Morrison," King Theron said, "you have my permission. If there is even a small chance this could work, we must take it." Kyle Henderson went to work in the Horizon's kitchen immediately. He wanted to prepare something simple and easy to digest, something that wouldn't overwhelm the princess's weakened system. He decided on pasta with tomato sauce. It was basic, gentle on the stomach, and full of good nutrients. He added fresh garlic bread and a small salad with olive oil dressing. For protein, he grilled a small piece of chicken with light herbs. As Kyle cooked, wonderful smells filled the ship's kitchen. Several Valorian servants who were observing started asking questions. They had never smelled anything like this before. Their own food had almost no scent. "What is that amazing smell?" one servant asked. "That's garlic," Kyle explained, "and tomatoes and basil. On Earth, we believe food should please all the senses, not just fill the stomach." When the meal was ready, Kyle carefully placed it in covered dishes. The aroma was so strong that it drifted through the palace halls as they carried it to Princess Liara's room. Valorians stopped and stared, their skin colors changing to show curiosity and confusion. Princess Liara's chamber was large, but felt sad. The windows were covered to keep out the bright sunlight that hurt her eyes. Medical equipment beeped quietly in the corners. The princess lay on her bed, barely moving. King Theron stood beside her, holding her hand. When Jake and Kyle entered with the food, Liara opened her eyes slowly. "Father?" she whispered. Her voice was weak. "My daughter," the king said gently. "The humans have brought you something. Will you try it?" Liara looked at Jake. Despite her weakness, she managed a small smile. "What do you have, Captain?" "Food from Earth," Jake said, moving closer. "We call it pasta. It's made from wheat, which is a plant that grows on our world." Kyle uncovered the dishes. The smell of tomato sauce, garlic, and herbs filled the room immediately. Princess Liara's eyes widened. Her dull skin flickered with just a hint of yellow. "It smells wonderful," she whispered. "I haven't smelled food in so long. Everything just made me sick." Two attendants carefully helped Liara sit up. They piled pillows behind her to support her weak body. Kyle placed a small portion of pasta on a plate and handed her a fork. "Take it slow," Dr. Lisa advised. "Just a little bite at first." Liara's hand shook as she lifted the fork to her mouth. The entire room held its breath. Jake found himself praying to whatever gods might exist in this vast universe. The princess took her first bite. For a moment, nothing happened. Liara chewed slowly, her face showing concentration. Then something miraculous occurred. Her skin began to glow. It was faint at first, just a soft amber light under the crystal surface. But it grew brighter with each second. The gray, lifeless color started to fade. Warm yellows and soft oranges spread across her crystalline face. Liara's eyes filled with tears. "I can taste it," she whispered in wonder. "I can actually taste it. And it doesn't hurt." She took another bite, then another. The glow in her skin grew brighter. King Theron's own skin exploded with brilliant gold, the Valorian color for pure joy. Tears ran down his crystalline cheeks. "My daughter," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. Liara continued eating slowly. With each bite of pasta, each taste of tomato sauce, her skin grew more colorful. The attendants gasped as they watched life return to their princess. After 15 minutes, Liara had eaten half the plate. She paused, breathing heavily but smiling. "That's enough for now," Dr. Lisa said gently. "We don't want to overwhelm your system." But Liara shook her head. "No, please. I'm still hungry. For the first time in months, I'm actually hungry. I want to eat more." Kyle brought the chicken and some bread. Liara ate it all slowly, savoring every bite. The Valorian servants watched in amazement as their princess consumed more food than she had in the past month combined. Finally, after nearly an hour, Liara set down her fork. She was exhausted, but her eyes were bright. Her skin glowed with healthy colors that no one had seen in months. "Thank you," she said, looking at Jake and his crew. "You've saved my life." King Theron embraced Jake, a gesture that shocked everyone. Valorian kings did not touch outsiders. But Theron didn't care about protocol anymore. His daughter was going to live. "Captain Morrison," the king said, "humanity has given me the greatest gift possible. You have returned my daughter to me. The Valorian Empire is forever in your debt." News of Princess Liara's recovery spread through the palace like wildfire. Within hours, every Valorian on the planet knew that human food had saved their princess. The palace was filled with celebration. Lights glowed in every window and music played in the streets. That evening, Jake returned to visit Liara. She was sitting up in bed, looking stronger already. Her skin was bright with healthy blues and greens. "How do you feel?" Jake asked. "Like I've been given a second chance at life," Liara said. "Captain Morrison, Jake, I don't know how to thank you." "Just get better," Jake said with a smile. "That's all the thanks we need." Liara looked thoughtful. This food of yours, this pasta, on your world, do people eat together? As a social activity? Yes, Jake said. Meals are important to us. They're a time for family and friends to gather. We share stories, laugh together, and strengthen our bonds. Food isn't just fuel for us. It's part of our culture. How wonderful, Liara said. Her skin glowed with fascination. We Valorians eat alone, usually. Food is just nutrition. But your way sounds beautiful. Over the next few days, Kyle prepared 3 meals a day for Princess Liara. Each one helped her grow stronger. He experimented with different dishes, keeping notes on what worked best for her altered biology. Liara loved everything. She discovered rice and vegetables, fish and fruit. Kyle made her soup when she wanted something warm and comforting. He prepared salads when she wanted something light and fresh. But more than the food itself, Liara loved learning about Earth culture. She asked endless questions about farming and cooking, about recipes passed down through families, about holiday meals and celebration feasts. Your people have thousands of different dishes? She asked in amazement one afternoon. Tens of thousands, Kyle corrected. Every region of Earth has its own special foods. Italian pasta, Chinese dumplings, Mexican tacos, Indian curry. The list goes on and on. I want to learn about all of them, Liara declared. Her skin sparkled with excitement. Meanwhile, the diplomatic relationship between humans and Valorians grew stronger. King Theron gave the Horizon crew complete access to Valorian technology and libraries. Human scientists worked alongside Valorian researchers, sharing knowledge freely. But not everyone was happy. High Chancellor Voron watched these developments with growing anger. He saw the humans as a threat to Valorian traditions. He especially hated how Princess Liara had become dependent on human food. It's shameful, Voron complained to his supporters. Our princess eating alien food like some kind of beggar, and the king treats these humans like heroes. One of Voron's advisors, a cruel Valorian named Kelrus, nodded. The people are too excited right now, but that excitement will fade. Then we can make them see the truth. Voron's skin flashed with dark red ambition. Yes, and when that happens, we will drive these humans away from our world. But in Princess Liara's chamber, there was only happiness. She sat with Jake one evening, eating a bowl of Kyle's homemade soup. You know, she said between spoonfuls, before I got sick, I thought I understood everything about life. I was a princess. I had power and knowledge. But this illness taught me something important. What's that? Jake asked. That sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places, Liara said. You traveled across the stars and you saved me with something as simple as a plate of food. It's beautiful. Jake smiled. That's humanity for you. We don't always have the fanciest technology or the biggest weapons, but we have kindness. And sometimes that's enough. 2 weeks after Princess Liara's first Earth meal, she was walking through the palace gardens without help. Her crystalline skin shone with vibrant colors. She looked healthier than she had in months, perhaps even healthier than before her illness began. Jake watched her laugh as she smelled flowers with Kyle, who was teaching her about Earth plants. The chef had brought seeds from the horizon and was explaining how humans grew food. On Earth, we have farmers, Kyle explained. They plant seeds in soil and water them. The sun helps them grow. Then we harvest the plants and turn them into food. You grow your own nutrients? Liara asked in amazement. We Valorians synthesize all our food in laboratories. I never thought about how yours was made. Food is alive before we eat it, Kyle said. That's what makes it special. There's a connection between the earth, the plant, and the person who eats it. Liara touched a tomato plant gently. I want to learn everything about this. Could we plant a garden here on Valoria Prime? With earth plants? I don't see why not, Kyle said with a grin. With proper soil and care, we could have fresh vegetables growing in a few months. King Theron appeared on the garden path, his skin glowing with happiness. These days the king smiled often. Having his daughter healthy again had lifted a great weight from his shoulders. Captain Morrison, the king called out. A moment, please. Jake joined the king on a stone bench beneath a silver tree. The Valorian ruler looked thoughtful. I want to propose something, Theron said. A formal alliance between our peoples. Trade agreements, cultural exchange, shared scientific research. The Valorian Empire wishes to stand beside humanity as friends and partners. Jake felt excitement rise in his chest. This was beyond what anyone on Earth had hoped for. Your Majesty, I would be honored to bring this proposal to my government. I believe they will be very pleased. Good, Theron said. We will begin preparing the documents. In the meantime, I want to invite your crew to stay longer. Learn our ways as we learn yours. Over the following weeks, the Horizons crew spread throughout the Valorian capital. Engineers studied Valorian propulsion technology. Scientists exchanged theories about physics and chemistry. Linguists learned the Valorian language, which was incredibly complex with its color-based emotional component. But the strongest bond formed between Jake and Princess Liara. They spent hours together each day, and their friendship grew deeper with every conversation. Liara was curious about everything human. She wanted to know about Earth's history, its wars and peace, its art and music. Jake told her about mountains and oceans, about cities and wilderness, about the billions of humans who called Earth home. Your people are so diverse, Liara said one afternoon as they walked through the palace. Different skin colors, different languages, different beliefs. How do you not fight all the time? Oh, we fought plenty, Jake admitted. Earth's history is full of conflicts. But we learned something important. Our differences make us stronger. A world where everyone is the same would be boring. I love that idea, Liara said. Her skin flickered with admiration. Valorians are all very similar. We think alike, act alike. Meeting you has shown me how limited that is. They reached Liara's private dining room where Kyle had prepared lunch. Today it was grilled fish with lemon, roasted vegetables, and fresh bread. As they ate, Liara asked, Jake, what do you miss most about Earth? Jake thought for a moment. My family, my sister and her kids. Sunday dinners where everyone brings a dish and we all eat together. The smell of rain. Baseball games. Really good coffee. Tell me about your family, Liara said, leaning forward with interest. Jake described his life on Earth. His childhood in a small town. His decision to join the space program. His sister, who was a teacher. He talked about his mother's cooking and his father's terrible jokes. Liara listened to every word, her skin changing colors to show different emotions. Yellow for joy, blue for sadness, green for curiosity. You have such a rich life, she said finally. I'm a princess, but my life has been very structured. Every day planned, every action watched. I've never had the freedom you describe. Is that what you want? Jake asked gently. Freedom? I didn't know I wanted it until I met you, Liara admitted. Her skin turned a soft pink color that Jake had learned meant affection. You've opened my eyes to so many possibilities. Their eyes met across the table. Jake felt something shift in his chest. This was more than friendship, and they both knew it. But Jake pulled back. She was a princess. He was just a human captain from a distant world. This couldn't work. Liara seemed to sense his thoughts. She looked away, but not before Jake saw disappointment color her skin. Not everyone in the palace was happy about the growing bond between humans and Valorians. High Chancellor Vorin watched Jake and Liara's friendship with growing hatred. He held secret meetings with other officials who shared his views. The princess spends more time with that human than with her own people, Vorin complained to his inner circle. She's become addicted to their food, their culture, their ways. It's shameful. Kelris, Vorin's most loyal supporter, nodded, and the king is blinded by gratitude. He's giving the humans access to everything. Soon they'll know all our secrets. We must act, Vorin said. His skin flashed dark red with anger. The Valorian people need to see what these humans really are. They're not saviors. They're parasites worming their way into our empire. What do you suggest? Kelris asked. Vorin thought for a long moment. Then a cruel smile crossed his face. We need an incident. Something that will turn the people against the humans. Something that will show the king he was wrong to trust them. Meanwhile, Jake was unaware of the conspiracy forming against them. He was too focused on helping establish the alliance between their civilizations. Dr. Lisa Carter made a breakthrough in understanding Liara's condition. She discovered that the princess's biology had been altered by exposure to a rare cosmic radiation during a space journey months before her illness. The radiation had rewritten her DNA at a fundamental level. It's incredible, Lisa explained to Jake and King Theron. The radiation didn't kill her. Instead, it changed her to be compatible with a different type of nutrition. Almost like evolution in Fast Forward. Will other Valorians experience this? The king asked with concern. No, Lisa assured him. The circumstances were very specific. The princess is unique, but this does mean she'll need Earth food for the rest of her life. Then we must ensure that supply never ends. King Theron declared. Captain Morrison, I want to establish a permanent Earth embassy here on Valoria Prime, and I want to send Valorian ambassadors to Earth. It would be my honor to help arrange that, Jake said. That evening, Jake and Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The sun was setting, painting the purple sky with shades of red and orange. Below them, millions of Valorians went about their evening routines, their crystalline bodies glowing in the twilight. This city is beautiful, Jake said. I never appreciated it before, Liara admitted. I took everything for granted. My health, my position, my life, but almost dying changed me. Now I see beauty everywhere. She turned to Jake, her skin glowing with that soft pink color again. Thank you for that. You didn't just save my life. You taught me how to live it. Jake wanted to say so many things. He wanted to tell her that she had changed him too, that he thought about her every moment, that leaving Valoria Prime would be the hardest thing he'd ever done. But he just smiled and said, I'm glad we could help. In the shadows below, Vorin watched the scene with disgust. He had been following the captain and princess for days, documenting their time together. Look at them, he spat to Kelrys, the princess of Valoria making eyes at an alien. It's disgusting. When will you act? Kelrys asked. Soon, Vorin promised. Very soon. I've been working on something special. In 3 days, we have the ceremonial feast to celebrate the alliance. That's when everything will change. What are you planning? Kelrys asked nervously. Vorin's smile was cold. The princess trusts the humans completely. She eats their food without question. That trust will be her downfall and the downfall of this alliance. You're going to poison her? Kelrys gasped. Not kill her, Vorin clarified. That would make a martyr. No, I'm going to make her sick. Sick enough that everyone will blame the human food. The people will see that trusting aliens was a mistake. They'll demand the humans leave, and the king will have no choice but to send them away. But if the princess gets sick again, she could die, Kelrys pointed out. Vorin shrugged. Then she dies. Either way, the humans will be blamed. Either way, they'll be gone from our world forever. High above in the palace, Jake and Liara continued talking, unaware of the danger forming around them. They spoke of hopes and dreams, of the future alliance between their peoples, of all the wonderful things that could come from their friendship. Neither of them knew that in 3 days everything would fall apart. Neither of them suspected that someone close to the throne was plotting to destroy everything they had built. The sun set completely, and the city below lit up with millions of crystalline lights. It was beautiful and peaceful. But darkness was coming, and it would test the bond between humans and Valorians in ways no one could imagine. The feast that would change everything was only 3 days away. The day of the ceremonial feast arrived with beautiful weather. The palace was decorated with flowers from both Valoria Prime and Earth. Banners showing both human and Valorian symbols hung from every wall. Musicians practiced songs that blended the music of both civilizations. King Theron had invited important officials from across the empire. They came in their finest clothes, their crystalline skin polished to shine brightly. The feast would celebrate the new alliance and mark the beginning of a friendship between two worlds. Kyle Henderson had worked for days preparing the menu. He wanted everything perfect. There would be dishes from Earth and synthesized Valorian food for those who preferred it. Princess Liara's special meal would be the centerpiece, showing how human and Valorian cultures could blend together. Jake dressed in his formal uniform and checked his appearance in the mirror. He felt nervous. This feast was important not just for diplomacy, but also because he would soon have to leave Valoria Prime. His mission was nearly complete. The alliance documents were signed. It was time for the Horizon to return to Earth with news of their success. The thought of leaving Liara made his chest hurt. But what choice did he have? She was a princess with responsibilities. He was a captain who needed to report back to his superiors. Their lives were too different. Princess Liara dressed in a beautiful gown that combined Valorian crystal weaving with earth silk. She looked stunning. Her skin glowed with happy colors, but there was sadness in her eyes too. She knew Jake was leaving soon, and the thought filled her with sorrow. Her handmaiden, Mira, helped arrange her hair. Mira was one of Liara's oldest friends, loyal and kind. "You look beautiful, Your Highness," Mira said gently. "Thank you," Liara replied. "Mira, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Have you ever loved someone you couldn't be with?" Liara asked quietly. Mira's skin flickered with understanding. She had seen how the princess looked at Captain Morrison. Yes, Your Highness. Love doesn't always follow the rules we set for it. What did you do? I chose duty over love, Mira admitted. And I've regretted it every day since. Your Highness, if you have a chance at happiness, take it. Royal or not, you deserve joy. Liara smiled sadly. It's not that simple. Jake and I live in different worlds, literally. In the kitchen, Kyle was putting final touches on Princess Liara's meal. It was a beautiful pasta dish with fresh vegetables and herbs from his earth garden. He had poured his heart into it, wanting everything perfect for this important night. High Chancellor Vorin entered the kitchen. His skin was a neutral gray-blue, showing nothing. Chef Henderson, Vorin said with a cold smile. The king wanted me to thank you personally for all your work. Kyle was surprised. Vorin had never been friendly to the humans. Thank you, Chancellor. I hope everyone enjoys the meal. I'm sure they will, Vorin said. He walked closer to the counter where Liara's meal was prepared. What's this dish? That's for Princess Liara, Kyle explained. Her favorite. May I smell it? Vorin asked. I'm curious about human food. Of course, Kyle said, stepping back. Vorin leaned over the dish, breathing in the aroma. What Kyle didn't see was the small vial Vorin held in his hand. As he pretended to admire the food, Vorin poured a clear liquid into the sauce. The poison was designed specifically for Liara's altered biology. It would make her terribly sick but leave no trace in the food itself. Wonderful, Vorin said, stepping back. You humans are truly talented. He left the kitchen and Kyle returned to his work, completely unaware of what had just happened. The feast began at sunset. The Great Hall was packed with hundreds of guests. Humans and Valorians mingled together, talking and laughing. King Theron sat at the head of the main table with Princess Liara beside him. Jake and his senior officers sat nearby. The food was served in courses. First came appetizers, then soups, then the main dishes. Everyone praised Kyle's cooking. The Valorians who tried Earth food were amazed by the flavors and textures. Finally, Princess Liara's special meal arrived. She smiled when she saw it, recognizing her favorite pasta dish. She picked up her fork eagerly. Jake watched her take the first bite. At first, everything seemed normal. Liara smiled and ate happily. But then, after about 5 minutes, her smile faded. Her skin began to change color, shifting to an unhealthy gray. Liara? King Theron said with concern. Are you all right? I don't feel well, Liara said. Her voice was weak. Father, something's wrong. Suddenly, Liara collapsed forward. Her skin had turned almost completely gray. She was barely breathing. Get Dr. Carter, Jake shouted, jumping from his seat. Now! The feast hall erupted in chaos. Valorian guards rushed forward. Jake caught Liara as she fell from her chair. Her body was cold and her skin was losing all its color. Lisa Carter pushed through the crowd and examined Liara quickly. Her face went pale. She's been poisoned. We need to get her to medical immediately. As guards carried the unconscious princess away, High Chancellor Vorin stood up. His voice rang through the hall loud and clear. This is what comes from trusting aliens, Vorin shouted. The humans have poisoned our princess. They pretended to help her, but they were really plotting against us all along. That's not true, Jake said angrily. We would never hurt Liara. The evidence speaks for itself, Vorin said coldly. Princess Liara ate human food and collapsed immediately. The poison was in your food, Captain Morrison. You have tried to murder the heir to our throne. The Valorian guests began shouting. Some supported Vorin, angry at the humans. Others defended Jake, refusing to believe he would hurt Liara. The hall split into arguments and accusations. King Theron raised his hand for silence. His skin was deep gray with grief and anger. Guards escort the humans to their ship. They are confined there until we complete our investigation. Your Majesty, please, Jake begged. We didn't do this. Someone is trying to frame us. My daughter is dying, Theron roared. You promised to help her, and now she is worse than ever. Get out of my sight. Jake and his crew were escorted from the palace by armed guards. The Valorian people they passed looked at them with hatred and fear. All the goodwill built over weeks had vanished in minutes. Back aboard the Horizon, the crew gathered in shock and confusion. Captain, what happened? Amy Brooks asked. Who would poison the princess? I don't know, Jake said. But someone wanted to make it look like we did it. Kyle was devastated. The food came from my kitchen. I prepared it myself. I don't understand how poison got into it. Lisa Carter was running tests on samples of the food. After an hour, she looked up with a grim expression. The poison was added after cooking. It's a compound designed specifically to harm Liara's altered biology. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Jake paced the bridge, thinking hard. This was planned. Someone wanted to destroy the alliance between our peoples. They used Liara to do it. Vorin, Amy said suddenly. Did you see how quickly he accused us? Like he was waiting for it to happen. Jake stopped pacing. Amy was right. Vorin had been against the humans from the start. He had the access and the knowledge to pull this off. But how do we prove it? Jake asked. We're locked in our ship. The Valorians won't listen to us now. Meanwhile, in the medical wing, Princess Liara was fighting for her life. King Theron sat beside her bed, holding her hand. His skin was the darkest gray anyone had ever seen. Dr. Carter had been allowed to help treat Liara, but progress was slow. The poison was sophisticated and difficult to counter. Mira, Liara's handmaiden, stood in the corner watching everything. She had been thinking about what happened at the feast. Something bothered her about Vorin's reaction. He had seemed too prepared, too ready with accusations. Late that night, Mira made a decision. She slipped out of the medical wing and went to Vorin's office. She knew it was dangerous, but she had to know the truth. Using her position as a palace servant, Mira accessed areas most people couldn't enter. She searched through Vorin's private files, looking for anything suspicious. What she found made her blood run cold. There were documents showing years of theft from the Empire's treasury. Vorin had been stealing money and resources, hiding his crimes through complex accounting. There were also notes about the humans and a plan to discredit them. The final piece of evidence was a small vial, empty now, labeled with the chemical name of the poison used on Princess Liara. Mira grabbed the documents and the vial. She had to get this information to someone who could help. But as she turned to leave, she found High Chancellor Vorin standing in the doorway. Hello, Mira, Vorin said coldly. His skin flashed dark red with anger. Looking for something? Mira's heart raced. She clutched the evidence to her chest. I know what you did. I know you poisoned Princess Liara. No one will believe you, Vorin said, moving closer. You're just a servant. I am the High Chancellor. The princess will believe me, Mira said bravely. When she wakes up, I'll tell her everything. If she wakes up, Vorin said with a cruel smile. The poison I used is very powerful. She might not survive. And if she does, well, I'll make sure you don't live to tell anyone what you found. Vorin called for his guards, who were loyal only to him. They entered the room ready to arrest Mira. But Mira was quick. She ran past them, using her knowledge of the palace's secret passages. She ran as fast as she could, heading for the one place she might be safe, the horizon. The human ship's alarms went off as someone approached. Jake looked at the security feed and saw a Valorian woman running toward them, clutching papers to her chest. Behind her, armed guards were chasing. Open the airlock, Jake ordered. She needs help. Mira stumbled into the horizon just as the guards reached the ship. She collapsed, breathing hard, and thrust the documents at Jake. Evidence, she gasped. Vorin poisoned the princess. He's been stealing from the Empire. This proves everything. Jake looked at the documents. His hands shook with anger and relief. Finally, they had proof. Thank you, Jake said to Mira. You're very brave. Outside, Vorin's guards surrounded the horizon. The situation was getting worse by the minute. Jake had evidence of Vorin's guilt, but he was trapped on his ship with no way to share it with King Theron. Above the planet, Jake could see Valorian warships moving into position. Vorin was preparing to force the humans to leave or, worse, destroy them before they could expose his crimes. The next few hours would determine everything: the fate of Princess Liara, the alliance between their peoples, and possibly their lives. The horizon sat surrounded by hostile forces. Vorin's guards blocked all exits from the landing pad. Above the planet, 3 Valorian warships moved into attack positions. On the ship's bridge, Jake stared at the evidence Mira had brought them and knew he had to act fast. We need to get this information to King Theron, Jake said. But how? We can't even leave the ship. Amy Brooks studied the communications panel. Vorin has blocked all our transmissions to the palace. He's controlling all official channels. What about unofficial channels? Lisa Carter asked. The Valorians must have something like our internet, a way for regular citizens to communicate. Mira, still catching her breath, spoke up. The public network. Every Valorian can access it, but Varin monitors it closely. He can't monitor everything at once, Jake said, an idea forming. Mira, can you access the public network from here? Yes, Mira said. But if we broadcast the evidence, Vorin will try to shut it down immediately. Then we make it too big to shut down, Jake decided. We don't just send it to the king, we send it to everyone. Every Valorian on the planet sees the evidence at the same time. The crew went to work. They connected Mira to the Horizon's communication system. She accessed the Valorian public network using her credentials. Within minutes, they were ready to broadcast. Wait, Jake said. Before we do this, I want to add something. A message directly from me to the people of Valoria Prime. Jake recorded a short video. He stood in front of the camera, his uniform dirty from the chaos of the evening, but his voice was strong and clear. People of Valoria Prime, Jake began. My name is Captain Jake Morrison. Hours ago, Princess Liara was poisoned at a feast meant to celebrate peace between our worlds. High Chancellor Varin immediately blamed humans for this crime, but we are innocent. The evidence we're about to share proves that Vorin poisoned the princess himself. He did it to destroy the alliance between our peoples and hide his own crimes. Jake held up the documents. Vorin has been stealing from your empire for years. He feared that cooperation with humanity would expose his corruption. So he tried to kill Princess Liara and blame us. He used your trust and love for the princess as a weapon against both of us. Jake's voice grew passionate. I know many of you don't trust humans. We're new to you, strange and different, but I promise you this. We came to your world in friendship. We saved Princess Liara's life because it was the right thing to do. Not for power or money or advantage, because where humans come from, you help those who need it. That's what makes us who we are. He paused, looking directly into the camera. Vorin wants you to fear us. He wants you to push us away. Don't let him. Princess Liara is fighting for her life right now. If she could speak, she would tell you the truth. She would tell you that humans are your friends. Please don't let Vorin's hatred destroy something beautiful before it even begins. Jake ended the recording. Send it, everything, now. Mira pressed the button. Within seconds, Jake's message and all of Vorin's incriminating documents flooded the Valorian public network. Every screen on the planet lit up with the evidence. News of the broadcast spread like wildfire. Vorin was in his office when he learned what happened. His skin turned bright red with fury. He immediately tried to shut down the broadcast, but it was too late. Millions of Valorians had already seen it. They were sharing it, discussing it, and demanding answers. Find whoever did this. Vorin screamed at his guards. Stop that broadcast. But it was impossible. The information was everywhere now. Valorian citizens filled the streets, their skin colors changing to show shock, anger, and confusion. They marched toward the palace, demanding to know if what the human said was true. King Theron was in the medical wing with Princess Liara when his advisors told him about the broadcast. They showed him the evidence on a screen. Theron's skin went through a rapid series of colors. Gray with shock, red with anger, then deep blue with grief. Vorin, Theron whispered, my own chancellor. He poisoned my daughter. The king stood up, his body shaking. Where is he? In his office, your majesty, an advisor replied. He's trying to contain the situation. Arrest him, Theron ordered. Immediately. And bring Captain Morrison to me. I owe him an apology. Vorin saw the palace guards coming for him. His loyal forces tried to defend him, but they were overwhelmed. The evidence was too clear. Even his supporters couldn't deny what everyone had seen. As guards placed him in restraints, Vorin's skin flashed between red and black, the colors of rage and despair. This isn't over, he spat. You think you've won, but you've doomed Valoria. These humans will destroy everything we are. No, said one of the guards, a young Valorian whose skin glowed with determined green. You're the one who tried to destroy us. The humans offered friendship, and you repaid it with lies. Vorin was dragged away, still shouting accusations that no one believed anymore. Jake received permission to return to the palace. He ran through the halls to the medical wing, his heart pounding. He had to know if Liara was all right. King Theron met him outside Liara's room. The king's skin was gray and blue, showing shame and sadness. Captain Morrison, Theron said quietly, I am deeply sorry. I allowed grief and fear to cloud my judgment. You saved my daughter once, and I repaid you with suspicion and exile. Is she alive? Jake asked urgently. Yes, Theron said. Dr. Carter and our physicians have stabilized her. She's weak, but she will recover. Jake felt relief flood through him. Thank you. Can I see her? She's been asking for you, Theron said with a small smile. Go to her. Jake entered the room quietly. Princess Liara lay in bed, her skin pale but no longer gray. When she saw Jake, her eyes filled with tears and her skin brightened to soft pink. Jake, she whispered. They told me what happened. What Vorin did, and what you did to save me again. Jake sat beside her bed and took her hand gently. I couldn't let him hurt you. I couldn't let him destroy what we've built. I heard your message, Liara said. The one you broadcast to our people. You said such beautiful things about humans. About helping those who need it. It's the truth, Jake said simply. Liara squeezed his hand. Jake, I need to tell you something. Something I should have said before. What is it? I love you, Liara said. Her skin glowed brightly with that pink color. I know we're from different worlds. I know there are a million reasons why this is complicated. But I love you, and I don't want you to leave without knowing that. Jake felt his heart swell. He had been holding back his own feelings, thinking they were impossible. But sitting here holding her hand, he realized that nothing was impossible if they were brave enough to try. I love you too, Jake said. I have since that first night in the gardens. But I thought that I was just a princess? Liara interrupted with a weak smile. That we couldn't be together? Jake, you taught me that the greatest gifts come from unexpected places. You are my unexpected gift. I'm not letting you go. They sat together in silence for a while, just holding hands and being grateful they were both alive. Outside, the situation on Valoria Prime was transforming rapidly. The revelation of Voran's betrayal had shocked the Empire, but it also created an opportunity. The Valorian people had seen Jake's message. They had seen a human captain risk everything to save their princess and expose the truth. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Where before there had been suspicion of humans, now there was gratitude and curiosity. The streets filled with Valorians holding signs supporting the alliance. They wanted to meet these brave aliens who had twice saved their princess. King Theron held a public address in the palace square. Thousands of Valorians gathered to hear him speak, their crystalline bodies glowing in the evening light. My people, Theron began. Today we learned a painful truth. Someone we trusted betrayed us. But we also learned something wonderful. We learned that friendship can cross the stars. That courage and kindness exist in species we barely know. He gestured to where Jake stood beside him. Captain Morrison and his crew came to our world as strangers. They could have left when things became difficult, but they stayed. They fought for truth and justice. They protected my daughter and our honor. The crowd's skin colors rippled with emotion. Yellow for happiness, blue for solidarity, green for hope. From this day forward, Theron declared, the Valorian Empire and humanity are allies. Not just in trade or science, but in spirit. We will learn from each other, grow together, and face the future side by side. The crowd erupted in celebration. Music filled the air. For the first time, Valorians and humans danced together in the streets. Over the next few weeks, details of the alliance were finalized. Earth would establish a permanent embassy on Valoria Prime. Valorians would visit Earth to study and teach. Technology and culture would be shared freely. Princess Liara made a full recovery. True to her word, she accepted the position of Valoria's ambassador to Earth. She would travel to Jake's homeworld to represent her people and continue learning about human culture. Jake requested reassignment to remain as Earth's liaison to the Valorian Empire. His request was quickly approved. His superiors recognized that the bond between Jake and the Valorians was too valuable to break. Kyle Henderson stayed too, establishing the first Earth Valorian culinary school. He would teach Valorians about Earth food while learning their scientific approach to nutrition. His garden of Earth plants flourished, and soon fresh vegetables were growing all over the capital city. 3 months after the crisis, a grand celebration was held to mark the official opening of the Earth Embassy. The building was designed to blend both architectural styles, Valorian crystal structures mixed with human design elements. At the ceremony, Princess Liara gave a speech. She stood before representatives from both worlds, her skin glowing with vibrant, happy colors. When I became ill, Liara said, I thought my life was ending. I never imagined it was actually beginning. Captain Morrison didn't just save my life with food from Earth. He saved me with something more important. Hope. She looked at Jake, who stood in the crowd wearing his dress uniform. He taught me that the universe is bigger than I ever dreamed. That friendship can exist between any beings who choose to see each other as equals. That love can cross any distance if hearts are brave enough. Liara smiled, and her words carried across the crowd. Today, Valorians and humans stand together not because we are the same, but because we choose to celebrate our differences. We choose friendship over fear. We choose unity over division. And we choose love over hatred. The crowd, both human and Valorian, applauded. Their joy filled the air like music. That evening, Jake and Liara stood together on a balcony overlooking the city. The purple sky was filled with stars, and somewhere among them was Earth, Jake's homeworld that Liara would soon visit. "Are you nervous?" Jake asked. "About going to Earth?" "A little," Liara admitted, "but mostly excited. I want to see your mountains and oceans. I want to taste foods I've never heard of. I want to meet your family." Jake laughed. "My sister is going to love you. She already saw your speech on the news feeds. She sent me a message saying I better not mess this up." "Why, sister?" Liara said with a grin. They stood together watching the city lights. Two beings from different worlds who had found each other across the stars. Around them, their two civilizations were building something new. A friendship based on kindness, trust, and the simple act of sharing a meal. The future stretched ahead of them, full of possibilities. There would be challenges, certainly. Differences to navigate, problems to solve, misunderstandings to overcome. But they would face it all together. Because in the end, that's what mattered most. Not that they came from the same place, but that they chose to walk the same path forward. Not that they were alike, but that they valued each other's differences. Not that everything would be easy, but that they would try anyway. And it had all started with something so simple. A human captain, a dying princess, and a plate of pasta that changed two worlds forever. Years from now, historians would write about this moment as the beginning of the great alliance between Earth and the Valorian Empire. They would study the diplomatic documents and technological exchanges. They would analyze the cultural impacts and economic benefits. But those who were there, who watched Jake and Liara fall in love, who tasted Kyle's cooking or danced in the streets during the celebration, they knew the truth. The alliance succeeded not because of politics or technology, but because of something much simpler and more powerful. It succeeded because humans knew that when someone is hungry, you feed them. When someone is sick, you help them. And when someone reaches out in friendship, you reach back. That's what made humanity special. That's what made them worthy partners for the stars. Not weapons or ships or scientific achievements, but the simple, profound belief that kindness matters, that compassion has value, that every life, no matter how different, deserves dignity and care. As the first stars appeared in the sky above Valoria Prime, Jake Morrison and Princess Liara looked up at them together, knowing that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey that would take them across the galaxy and beyond.